Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal. Patch 11.27 is finally officially here. And with this patch, we also got a bunch of catch-up events available ahead of midnight, with Turbulent Timeways making yet another return. I believe this is the fourth Turbulent Timeways they've done so far. But like all the other previous Turbulent Timeways events, this is one of the best catch-up opportunities for everybody that's not currently playing in Legion Remix. Whether you're trying to get some more XP to level up a bunch of characters ahead of midnight, or you're trying to get those characters geared out with some of the easiest ways to get gear, as you can get hero track items weekly just for running a couple of time walking instances. Speaking of time walking, we also got brand new rewards this time around, both from the Turbulent Timeway rewards with up to 4 mounts that you can collect, but also a bunch of new rewards from a brand new expansion that joins the time walking roster, being Shadowlands, which is super unusual for me because it feels like we were playing Shadowlands just yesterday. So it is kind of wild that we're already here. So with that being said, I did want to go over everything that there is to obtain during Turbulent Timeways, how you can take advantage of the massive XP buff, gearing buff, and how you can collect a bunch of rewards and everything you need to know for this event. As always, if you guys want to keep up with all the regular WoW updates, be it for War Within, Legion Remix, which got an update next week, or Midnight Beta, which has got an update this week specifically, be sure to follow the channel and subscribe. But otherwise, let's dive right in. Turbulent Timeways is definitely one of the best catch-up events, whether you're trying to level a brand new character or catch up on gear. When it comes to leveling, if you are not already diving into and are knee-deep in Legion Remix, but you're still looking to get a character, maybe a couple of vaults ahead of midnight, then this event will be fantastic for it, as it comes with a notable experience buff. The actual buff itself is actually a small stacking buff at first, which grants you 5% more experience gain per dungeon that you dive into, and you get it from completing dungeons, but every single time you complete a dungeon, it stacks up from 5%, 10%, 15 to 20. However, once it hits 4 stacks, it actually transforms into a new buff called Mastery of the Timeways, which grants you not a 5% EXP buff stacking, but a 30% instead. And it lasts for 3 hours and refreshes anytime you do a time walking dungeon. So just to refresh it all the way back into 3 hours, just queue for a quick dungeon, complete it, and you're good to go. As long as it's a time walking dungeon, then you should be able to get this buff during Turbulent Timeways. And Blizzard did end up also nerfing the amount of experience you need from level 70 to 80. So that final push, especially through War Within, if you're just doing it through open world content or through just payment time walking dungeons, which are generally really good for EXP gain, this actually may be one of the best events for you to dive into, especially if you're looking to crack out a couple of max level characters way before midnight. What's also to note here is the buff itself, at least in the past, used to stack up with every other XP buff that was available. So unless something changed, this means that during Turbulent Timeways, especially if you level right now, then you can get an absolutely ginormous EXP buff during this limited window, especially during Turbulent Timeways. Technically not as big as what you can get in Legion Remix. However, that does require a character that you've been playing for multiple weeks now and have been stacking up this EXP buff basically infinitely. So this is actually the best way for you to be able to get additional XP and a bunch of characters leveled up to max level ridiculously quickly without needing a huge time investment that Legion Remix would require. Not only do you get the 30% bonus from the Master of the Timeways, but also you get a flat 25% bonus or up to 25 Warband bonus, depending on how many max level characters you have. Essentially, the more max level characters you have, the more they become quote-unquote mentors for all of your other alts, which can increase the EXP buff for any new characters by up to 25%, which is pretty massive. You also get the anniversary buff, which is still constantly passively active, with the WoW anniversary offering a 10% buff for EXP and reputation, but you can actually increase it by 10 additional percent with the blessing of the Bronze Dragonflight, but go into like the main grounds area where the event is being held, outside of Tendera specifically, the celebration grounds, and doing the quest there, which is available every single day, which basically if you run around and complete a couple of quests or interact with any of the mini games in the celebratory anniversary grounds, then you'll be able to fill up a bar, which grants you this 2% additional bonus. So altogether, that's quite a lot of buffs being stacked up. On top of it, there's actually 2 other bonuses that you can combine together if you have them already picked up ahead of time, like the Drought of 10 Lands, which is a fairly commonly used Battle for Azeroth EXP potion that you would obtain from any of the Warfront Quartermasters, which are usually found in the docks of Zuldazar or Baralis, and they'll require a Warfront currency, which you can obtain by either doing war fronts or by completing some of the world quests in the Warfront zones, being Darkshore and Arathi, if the portal is available. This does require for you to unlock BFA as an intro area and do the intro quest in order to be able to unlock it. But if you do already have it unlocked, like if you play the BFA, those potions do stack up as well. You won't be able to continue drinking the potions after level 49, however, so you'll just want to make sure to refresh the potion before you hit level 49. But until then, the potion is going to be available and fairly decent buff for any low-level characters. Also, if you played during the Mysterious Wisdom buff, which has come and gone in War Within, and actually was supposed to return for this update specifically, but then they kind of rolled it back last second. Maybe it'll make a comeback right last month that Midnight is approaching. Maybe it'll return, but if you have a couple of potions like these saved up from that is also 10% additional experience for any characters that are not max level just yet. And if you're really looking to min-maxing bonuses, you also have the War Mode bonus, which does put you in a PvP instance out in the open world, but it does grant you 10% additional experience from quests as well as enemy that you slay. So if you are looking to quest in some of the safer areas, you know, as an Alliance character all around Stormwind, those are generally safe. As a Horde character all around Orgrimmar or Undercity usually, those are generally safe. There's not as many reasons for the opposing faction to be there unless they're just trying to gank low-level players. But generally, you should have a fairly safe-ish experience in those zones and crank through the levels ridiculously quickly. So if you are trying to like really min-max all your buffs, you technically could have up to, if you're really min-maxing this, up to 105% Giga EXP bonus while out in the open world, or 95 if you are, you know, jumping from instance to instance, which is another viable way of leveling. Like if you just queue dungeons, time walking specifically, as a tank or as a healer, or even as a DPS, since it seems like even DPS queues are pretty good with everybody jumping into time walking right now, then you're going to be able to get a lot of EXP rather quickly. So you can either do this through dungeons and group content, or if you prefer to run it solo, you can just do it through open world activities. On top of it, the actual buff of the event of the Turbulent Timeways also comes with an additional bonus, a reward, with a quest, or rather an achievement called Master Turbulent Timeways 4. If you were to gain Master of the Timeway buff for 5 weeks, not in a row specifically, but as long as you get it 5 weeks during the event's time, so basically if, let's say, I got Master Timeways this week, and the next, and the next, and the next, and the next 5 times in a row, you'll be able to obtain a Ta Redon's mount voucher, because there's actually 4 mounts for you to pick from with the expansion of Shadowlands joining the Turbulent Timeways. There's the Bronze Aculeon, at least I think that's how I pronounce it, a Bronze Bird for the Kyrian, there's a Corpsefly with a Necroward Covenant, a Bronze Grey Wing with a Venthyr, as well as a Bronze Wilder Wing with a Night Fae. And you'll basically get a voucher for any one of these mounts, but after you purchase your first one, after you've gotten the achievement, the other mounts will actually become available to buy from the time walking vendors, but instead of costing that same currency, they'll just cost time war badges instead, so you technically could get all 4. Or if you just want to get one just for the achievement and the reward, you can, and save others for later once you have a bunch of time walking currency. But there's a pretty good chance that these are not going to be coming back until the next Turbulent Timeway, I don't think, at least, unless Blizzard changes that. So definitely worth getting these while the Turbulent Timeway is active, and since you spam in time walking dungeons anyway, that's a pretty good way for you to be able to get a lot of time warp currency. Now, Turbulent Timeways is also a great event, not only for getting your characters caught up in levels, but also catching up in gear. Gear right now in War Within, especially with it being end of the season, it doesn't really matter that much. I don't really know that many players that are going out of the way to get the mythic best of the best gear because, you know, the season's almost over. However, this gear is going to make your leveling much, much easier come midnight. You won't have to replace a lot of your items, and your character will be at a fairly high power level for a very long time, basically up until you hit an end levels, like the final few levels to 90 in midnight. So getting good gear right now and getting it as upgraded as possible is also pretty much encouraged by so many players out there right now. During Turbulent Timeways, the weekly quest for the Time Walking Dungeons, the one found in Dornogal where you need to complete 5 Time Walking Dungeons, now awards you better rewards, specifically Hero Track pieces of gear from the raid of Mana Forge Omega. So you got a lot of different items that you can get from the raid in order to help your character gear up. And this can be any random item, everything that isn't like the AOTC mount, but like any of the best items off of Dimensius or Nexus King potentially, Fractalus with some of the best trinkets and even weapons that this one has available. Soul Hunter's boots, which I don't think are gonna end up working out in midnight because the cloak I'm pretty sure will be disabled by then. Maybe it'll be available for a short bit of time. Maybe it'll function like the Legendaries did in BFA. Who knows, really. But a lot of the good items from this raid are still going to be relevant for a good bit of time while you're questing within midnight. So if you're looking to quest as quickly and efficiently as possible early on, getting geared up is going to be a good way of going about it. And the fact that is, you can just get easy hero track items just for running time walking dungeons, which you don't have like an item level requirement or anything like that. Just Q5 a week and get a free hero track piece of gear on that character and you're good to go. What's also cool about gearing during time walking weeks until midnight is going to be a time walking week. Every single one is going to come with that quest, but also during certain weeks, specifically during expansions like Burning Crusade, Wrath of Lich King, and Cataclysm, you also have a time walking raid during those seasons, or rather during those expansions. Like Black Temple, for example, has a time walking version with a bunch of champion track pieces from all the bosses, but also you got from Wrath of Lich King, you have the raid of Ulduar, which also got a bunch of time walking items for you to be able to obtain, even a chance of Mimran's Head if you do end up doing the no light version. And as well as in Cataclysm, you have Firelands. So you have 3 iconic raids from various different expansions with an opportunity for you to get champion track pieces from the bosses, but also those raids comes with additional bonus quests to get an additional random piece of one of the items from the raid as a hero track piece instead. So for those weeks in particular, you're basically getting double weekly hero track pieces, which can be amazing when it comes to trying to catch up a character as quickly as possible ahead of midnight. On top of it, we also got a brand new expansion that's joining the time walking this time around as part of the Turbulent Timeway. We finally have the expansion of Shadowlands joining the time walking roster. And the very first week of Turbulent Timeway is the Shadowlands Dungeon Week. So you have access to a bunch of different instances from Shadowlands, some more fan favorite than others, I'd say, but definitely a lot of familiar ones that we've actually seen quite a decent bit recently in the War Within season, as they were appearing as seasonal dungeons. So a lot of you would find them actually quite familiar if you've been playing in this expansion. But you also get a brand new vendor with a ton of cool rewards, however, located in Oribos, and this vendor sells a bunch of items for time warp currency. They're selling you 2 mounts, a bunch of weapon cosmetics, which some are really, really good. There's a bunch of Zereth Mortis and like, you know, really futuristic looking pieces, which I'm not a big fan of. But then there's some items that we've never gotten before, like Uther's Hammer, 2 versions, like the Kyrian Cleansed and the Forsworn version. There's awesome maul looking weapons like the big, not a glaive, but it's more like a guillotine. It looks amazing. We also got some Necromancer shoulders from the Necrolord Covenant, which look amazing. A couple of toys, a bunch of back pieces, which Shadowlands as an expansion was very, very well known for, like a bunch of different back pieces for transmogs you can collect, and a big fan of those as well. There's a pet, as well as some old rewards for you to obtain from previous time walking, as well as Turbulent Timeway events, like some of the mount rewards as well, the bee, the dragon, which looks amazing, and as well as the Shale Wing from Dragonflight, I believe it was. But yeah, a bunch of different rewards for you to be able to obtain, and yet another expansion rolls into the time walking weeklies. With that being said though, as always, I do want to thank all of you guys so much for watching and hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did enjoy it or found it informative, go ahead and give this video a like, as I would very much appreciate it. Also be sure to join our Discord community, especially if you just want to keep up with any new happenings, like we got a new build for Midnight Beta, a new event, or a phase rather, for Legion Remix, with this being the final update for War Within. We also got the pre-patch for Midnight and the pre-patch event, so that'll be the best place to catch all of those things as soon as they happen. Also, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and as always, I'll see all of you guys in the next one.